On this week's podcast, we see what we think makes our Game of the Year selection so far, and we give our final verdict on Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. And on this week's Pixel Picks Showdown, emergent gameplay is the name of the game as we crown the best immersive sim game. All this and more on the Pixel Parent Podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents Podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host, Liam Kelvin, and today I am joined by Scott, the Tastemaker Curry. How are we, Scott?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Not bad. That's a fine smelling coffee.
This is a delicious coffee and needed.
Yeah, you can't beat the smell of it, I suppose. It's very nice, very nice.
It's too strong.
Kind of regretting not having one myself.
I put too much coffee in it.
How's your week been anyway?
It's been good. It's I feel like I've done a lot. Not personally a lot, but professionally in terms of this podcast, I have put myself deep, and I mean deep, into the swathes of games that I have to play. And
Nice.
I've gone there, and I have thoughts.
Okay.
And feelings.
Okay. I can't wait to hear them because it's always good when you give me that precursor onto things. But before we do, we might as well get some housekeeping out the road. So, of course, if you want to be part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at pixel_parents on Twitter, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. Of course, we appreciate all your support, and we'd also love it if you left us a wee 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. It really helps us. And of course, thank you to everybody that joins us each and every week.
And every week.
That's it. They're there. They're the real ones.
Yeah, they are.
The OGs.
The bloodline.
That's right.
Throw them up.
We acknowledge them. So, with all that out of the way, Scott, what have you been playing this week, good sir?
Oh my God. Right. I'm going to touch on Elden Ring.
Should we just start with the Elden Ring verdict now that we've both finished it at this point?
Yeah, we'll start with Elden Ring because I know that I'm going to derail this in about 5 minutes.
Right, okay. Well,
when I talk about the next game that I'm playing or
Right.
have played. But Elden Ring first. I'll let you do your verdict on Elden Ring first because
do you want me to start with me? Okay.
you start. Because you never start. It's always me.
Okay, this is it. I don't like change. I think if I was to look at our scale, I would be giving this a 9 for outstanding. I think the original base game is a 10, and I give this a 9 just because I do have some issues with it, but it's it's more of a good thing effectively. So we both have formally beat it this week. So at least the story, I've still got like optional bosses and all that in there, but I beat the story this week. I do think overall it's a fantastic package. Adds more of the same, which is a good thing. But the last boss just really left a sour taste in my mouth. I will say at this point, full spoilers from this point on.
Okay.
Just fast forward to 5 minutes and 5-10 minutes maybe, and you'll avoid them. But Consort Radahn can take a flying fuck to himself. Honestly, I hated every second about that last boss, and despite the fact when you get there, it's like, oh, there we go. It's our boy. He's back.
He's back.
Looking hench, looking tanned. And there's low things as well. You notice the wee horns coming out, the gauntlets and all that. We've all seen the Vati video stuff explaining it.
That's what we've all done, isn't it? We finished the game and then went back and watched all that.
But it was trash, Scott. I found it unbalanced. I thought it was joyless and really just not a great end to what was a very, very good expansion and experience. Like, to me, it felt like I've wrote notes here, notes and everything, right?
Goodness.
But it felt like another developer trying to ape From Software. I felt there was no nuance or rhythm to the fight. It felt cheap, so much so, unless you've got that abundance of time and patience, which neither of us have in massive supply, okay?
Yeah.
In both of them, really you're looking at cheese builds to really beat him. That I felt, and Luckily for me, the perfumer build recommended by yourself, I went for that, beat him, and then the next day it was nerfed. So it was meant to be.
That's amazing, isn't it? Like, I remember seeing the tweet and it was just like, I need to send it to you.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my luck, to be honest. But that being said, it gets a 9. I think the base game is better. Whilst the scale of the DLC, of course, is impressive, and I did feel it was a tad more awkward to navigate. And the whole progression within progression of it, like, whilst I did like it for ourselves being end-game players, it just kind of gave it a bit of an awkward pace at times, if I'm being critical of it. And of course, the last boss, Radahn, just takes a mark off immediately for me. That's really it. I'm so bitter towards him, and you think that I haven't beat him. Like, I beat him, and it was crap. Like, I didn't enjoy it, but yeah, it was really just, it let me down right at the end. Bar that though, the other bosses, I thought Mesmer and all the rest of that was fantastic. Story wise, couldn't tell you a single thing.
Yeah,
that happened in there.
That's FromSoft though, isn't it? You kind of have to find your story in there. I think that's probably one of the strongest points of it, is that the characters that you find in there and stuff like that, like kind of Tholier, and you meet Ansbach, and you've obviously got Freya and everyone, like, you find out more from them than you do anywhere else. And I'm not going to look through every single item that I find in the game and read the descriptions of it, because I just can't be arsed.
That's what Vati's there for.
That's what he does. I'll pay him money for it, but it's just like, I kind of agree with you on it, and I think time will tell on this, because I didn't enjoy the Mesmer fight until I beat him, and then I was like, I like this. I like the way it worked. And with Radahn, I feel like I could have got there with it, but it's just, there's moments in the fight with the big gravity pulls, and when you get to phase 2 and he starts throwing everything at you, it's like you're dodging 9-10 hits in a row to get one hit.
Sure.
And it felt like a lot of the bosses were like that. Like, you're dodging and dodging and dodging to get, one wee hit away. So I agree with you. I think a 9 is a good score, and a lot of the sort of world building and stuff like that as well, and your traversal through the map. There was areas in that game where you were just running on torrent for 5 minutes at a time, just stoating about picking up smithing stones. Like, there was so many times in that game where I go out my way to go and pick up something in the map, like a wee blue light on it. So I'm like, ooh, I'll go and pick that up.
Yeah,
and it's just like an ancient dragon smithing stone, which is great, but it's like, I'm looking for something else. So, I kind of enjoyed it, and this is coming from a person who wasn't excited about it before it came out, but got on board with it, finished it, and I'm glad that it's done. I'm glad that it's also opened up a new part to that story, which is cool. But I wrote down Radahn was a nightmare, and I did the perfumer thing as well. It was just, I couldn't be bothered with it.
No.
We talk about value in our time. That's one of the big sort of talking points and aching points of this podcast. And that didn't respect it. It was just, if you have the time to throw into it, you can. Like, there's a streamer that I follow, Peeve. He's been big on the Soul games for years, like the PvP and stuff like that. But he's been fighting Radahn. He's on like rune level like 9 or something, like the new game plus 7 or something like that. And he's like still trying to beat Radahn at this point, and he's been playing it for 300 odd hours or something like that. Like, he's just doing it 20-hour streams, just like going in doing the same thing over and over and over again, and he's got it. It's just, you have that one hit and that's you.
Yeah, that's it.
Same thing with the balancing in the DLC, but that was one of my sort of down points. One, it was how you sort of you lose your levels when you get in there. You're sort of like hand tied behind your back, but I understand why they've done it. Like, why would they go through the process of creating a DLC that you can saunter through? Do you know what I mean? So I get why they've done it. And I think, as you said last week or maybe the week before, it's a good way to approach it in terms of, the future of it. So I like the way they've done it, but I totally agree with you. A 9 is a valid score.
I think it's a noble score. I mean, it's pretty much as high a score as we can give. So, I mean, it's one of those ones. There was only small other things outside that, like the new weapons. I thought they were generous with them, but they all felt quite flimsy at points. Like you really had to adjust them, of course. Like you added your Ash of Wars and all that, but even at that, I was expecting them to have just a little bit more oomph given the difficulty spike that you're seeing in the DLC. I'd still thoroughly recommend it. Like
100%. As if you're a kind of From Software fan, or if you're interested in Elden Ring at all, then it's it's mandatory. You know what I mean? I think it's something you have to play. But I think with the weapons, they're not. You can't have a build where you've created this character, you've got all your emblems, you've got all your sort of Ashes of War and stuff like that in place, and then change it like that.
Yeah,
it's impossible. And obviously, my biggest gripe with Elden Ring is that you can't buy smithing stones from the blacksmith.
Yeah.
Why do I have to run to the finger, the bell bearing people? So it's an absolute nightmare. But that's me. Elden Ring.
Now, so that's the official verdict. It gets a 9. So well done From Software, which I think that's officially the highest score we've ever given on this podcast in its infancy, which is great. It has to be 1. But now we're free again. We have options, Scott. We have options. So you go first this time, right? Go first. So
we have options.
What have you been playing now that you're a free man again?
Okay. So I'll move to the 2 other games that I've played, and then I'll hit the big one, right? So after Elden Ring, I played this game, but I'm skipping over that because that'll be my last one.
Right, okay.
I obviously played the Kunimitsu Gami demo, the Capcom game.
How'd you find it?
No idea what it is. It's Pikmin, it's Plants vs Zombies, it's it's Devil May Cry, it's everything. I don't really know how to explain it, but you have to rid the world of demon things, and then you kind of control wee characters and protect a princess. So it's like a tower defense game, but with humans and stuff. It's weird, but it's cool. I mean, I don't think I'll ever play it again, but it's interesting. I'm back on Persona 3, working my way through that. I hit 50 hours in that. Nice. So yeah, I'm getting there with it, and I obviously big up Xbox on this because the quick resume feature on that console is just incredible. So it's ridiculous. Like I haven't played that game in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it put me exactly where I was, just in the middle of Tartarus, which is the big tower area that you go and fight loads of demons and stuff like that. But I love that game. I'm loving everything about it, and getting back to the characters and stuff is just, it's like home. So I've been enjoying that. But the big one, and the one that, if you had spoken to me 3 days ago, we'd be having an entirely different conversation about it.
Oh, I'm excited.
Was Life is Strange True Colours.
You have played it?
I have played it and completed it.
Have you?
To its entirety. And the portal came in very handy with it.
Could just once again praise be to Portal.
It's the best thing ever, man. So yeah, true to my word, I said I'll play it. I'll give it its time in the sun, and I enjoyed it. I did. I absolutely enjoyed everything about it. It came across like a pure noughties TV show. Do you know what I mean? It's just like chicken soup for the soul or something like that. They say it's
a really
lovely.
good way to describe it.
It's lovely. Like it's the characters in it. I loved. The twists and turns that you take and stuff like that as well are brilliant. And it's not a game. I don't see it being the touch point for me playing every single Life is Strange game, because I don't think I'd like that. But I loved everything about it. It was great. And as I say, if you had spoken to me 3 days ago, there's a character that I'd have been like staunchly for, completely staunchly for, and now I'm like, I've never been more gutted in my whole life.
Yep.
I've never been more upset. I was like, you big bastard. But no, I loved that. It was great.
This makes me so happy.
And so I'm happy to say that I've done it. And yeah, that's basically my thoughts on it. I think it's a fantastic game and a great experience. I mean, it's coming off the back of Elden Ring, where you're having to be laser focused at every single point in time.
Yeah.
And it's going to come up later in this podcast, folks, because we're going to have a big conversation about this. But having to be, laser focused on everything about that game to the point where you can't even pause it. Wink, wink. It was nice playing something where I could take my time with it. I could take it to bed with me. Do you know what I mean? Like I could go on the portal and just like faff about the world and stuff. And there's something really cool about games where, see, when it gives you like a notebook or like a journal, right? But you can go back the way, so it kind of creates more about this character. Like Uncharted has done it. I'm pretty sure Red Dead Redemption 2 done it as well, where you had the journal and you could see what they were doing just before this. Yeah. So you're going through all like the text messages and stuff like that, reading about the history and like what's happened before, and then it all starts to click and stuff. It was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm happy with the choices that I've made.
Nice.
I think. But it was great fun.
Oh, that makes me so happy, because you've actually probably picked the perfect time to play it. You're right. It's a totally different pace, totally different vibe. And like you, I played that and viewed it as a standalone type thing, which is like, I don't need to go back and play the rest of them. I know there was other characters that had appeared and stuff, but it's made me excited for the next one, because it was different developers that made the original ones that now they've made True Colours, but that genuinely makes me so happy. It's heartwarming.
It is
heartwarming.
That's exactly what it is. But I'm still upset about the heel turn.
I know. But I'm with you. Like, I played that not really being a big fan of the first few games, and it totally caught me off guard. The story does a really good job of hooking you into like, all right, I'll keep going, and then before you know it, you're a few chapters in, and it's great, and you can get through it fairly quickly.
It wasn't long at all, and you can take it as slow or as fast as you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to go and chase down every single trophy in that game, I mean, it's manageable. It's not impossible. So yeah, I mean, it's
well, there you go.
Good fun.
The both of us approve it.
And it's see if you had like a wee sticker where it was like Pixel Podcast recommended. I'd say that if you want a game that gives you emotion, it gives you storyline, it gives you characters, but it also doesn't demand everything that you can give it. You know what I mean? Like, you can just take your time with it, and you can just kind of enjoy the world and stuff. That is it. We sticker on it. We sticker on the box.
There we go. It's official. But I think there'll be loads of people listening, fellow gamer parents out there, that's looking for exactly that, to be honest. Not too demanding, well, valuing your time, I think you came back to earlier. We need more games like that for sure, but I'm genuinely surprised and delighted with that, and not in a smug way. We don't do that here. We reserve that for bits. But I think for me, I'm free again, and I've got options. So of course I went back to Starfield, and I'm doing the Freestar Collective, I think it is, which is great. Chasing down Terramorphs, which was oddly suspenseful, just the comfort food fix.
Tell the uneducated of us what a Terramorph is.
Basically the Deathclaw of Starfield.
Right, okay.
That's basically it.
Big monster in space.
That's hard to kill.
Right,
that's
there you
it. But I thought I'm going to flirt with some titles just in the lead up to, I know the Marvel Rivals beta's coming up this week, right? So, or not this week, this month. So I decided to finally give a go to Lords of the Fallen.
Okay.
And I don't recommend that at all.
No, I wouldn't.
No, not good.
From everything I've seen about that in the past, it's not.
It's the gameplay feel.
Yeah.
When you've got the controller in your hands, and it's not helped that I've just came off of the Elden Ring, but I really wish, if you're going to try and ape From Software, it's twice I've said that in this podcast, but if you're going to try to do it, just do it. They've added so much wee extra things there to make it just different, but it ends up just coming across as just a bit like, it kind of reminded me, not that the game's like it at all, it reminded me of this old game series like Mercenaries, like the games that would be instantly 20 quid when you walked into a game station or something, and it was just like very throwaway third person action nonsense. And this, it just felt a bit convoluted. It just didn't feel good to play. It felt spongy, and I was like, I gave it a try. I beat a boss and stuff, and I was just like, nah, this just ain't it, Chief. So I ended up, again, going back to, shout out to Game Pass for that one, I have to say as well. But then I ended up going back to Forza Horizon 5 for a wee muck about. which is good. That was thanks to a Paw Patrol game, because my son was wanting to play that, and I was like, why don't we try this other racing game with real cars in it? And my God, I dread the day that boy's behind the wheel. Jesus Christ. Poor Mexico. He absolutely tore the place up. But that game is a game, something that you could just play, put your brain off, and just relax and just sit and drive. I never understood the concept of Horizon years and years ago. Now I get it. It's just something similar to if you're playing like Grand Theft Auto, just without all the killing. If you just want to literally just drive about, and you get better at it as you're going. It's just a good pick up and play game. That's really it.
Something I've never jumped into. I mean, racing games are not, or racing sims are not my jam. So it's something that all the hype and stuff like that around it. There's obviously a game there and a loyal fan base, like a very loyal fan base. So maybe it's something to try. But
I think you would enjoy it if you're ever in the mood, because it's really arcadey.
Yeah,
it's really just very small activities that you could do, and it's pretty fun. There's a good variety of vehicles and stuff, and it does a really good job of making you feel like you've got loads at the very start, which is pretty good.
Cool.
But I've also decided now is the time, Scott. There's a game been sitting on my shelf since tail end of last year. I wanted to play, and I never had time to. So I thought, I'm going to do it. And I've started playing Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora.
Right, okay.
I've started it.
There's not a DLC due for that?
There is, yeah. I don't know if I'll go that far on it, but it's very, very early doors, but the hype was real. That game is stunning.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
I'll show you after the podcast, but it's very much, I was not really that hot on the films. I thought a bit meh.
Yeah.
I remember I was just like, you need to see it. The 3D is magic. And I'm about to see it in 3D in the IMAX, and I walked away going, that was the most 3-star ass film I've ever seen. But it feels like it lends itself better to a video game property. So yeah, I'll report back on that, because I think I'm just in the mood just to kind of shoot things mindlessly.
To plug away at an open world like that.
Yeah, because I nearly went back to Far Cry 6.
I mean, that's Far Cry 6 on weird flying dragon things. Pretty much.
But I've got the DLC for Far Cry 6 that I never touched. And it was just something I thought, I'll go to that. Then I just seen it just on the shelf. It's like,
it's a good shout. It is a good shout.
Yeah, might as well, because we talked about it in the last episode, what's coming up.
Yeah.
And I think Flintlock is coming out this month on Game Pass. I'll probably give that 5 hours or something and see if it sticks.
I don't even know what it is.
It was shown at the Xbox Games Showcase. It's like a Souls-like, but guns and stuff like that as well. So looks pretty
cool.
decent.
Right.
I think I'm not going to say, because I'll end up getting it wrong. But it was very much a case where I thought to myself, I've got time. Really the next big game on my horizon, Marvel Rivals or the beta, and probably Star Wars Outlaws. Maybe. So there's time to flirt with a few titles. I think, Scott, we've got time. I think what we'll do is we'll move on now that we know what we've been playing. There was something that came up online this week that I thought would be good to just shoot the breeze about quickly before we move on to our main topic. But really, it was some controversy. Let me give you some backstory, right?
Appreciate this.
So the listeners,
the lore.
I was just doom scrolling on Twitter, as you always do, and I noticed that there was some controversy on the dreaded word discourse. Ugh, makes my skin crawl. Online, just about the topic around situational disability. Now, this really caught fire when Alana Pierce, writer at Sony Santa Monica Studio and also a well-known content creator at this point, formerly of IGN, she kind of accidentally became at the centre of this, the joys of reach, I suppose. But she shed light on the term. Basically, she was just simply sharing, like, from a terminology point of view, that, if having a child around when playing games can be technically classed as what's known as a situational disability, where accessibility is concerned. So this is very much just a technical software and game design term, as opposed to kind of weighing it, equaling it to like a physical or mental disability, of course.
Yeah.
But in this context, the example that was shared was, if you need to pause a game because you've got your kid running about the living room. You would experience trouble playing that game without access to a pause menu. So that's kind of the situation, or one of many, that's included in the Microsoft Inclusive Design document,
the
right?
101 toolkit or something like that, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
I had a look at it.
And it's been fascinating to learn about it. But it's like, in that you've got permanent, temporary and situational examples of what a person can touch, see, hear and speak, of course, within it. It's worth looking at. But it's very, very much just a picture graph. It's not detailed at all in that sense. But naturally, of course, a very cool-headed and rational conversation online followed off the back of it. And a lot of people became obviously outraged at the term, which isn't new. Really, I felt took Alana right out of context, because all she was really doing was shedding light on this is a wee interesting point about.
Is she not, like, I think I saw it on a tweet today or maybe the other day, it was talking about when she was working on her work with God of War, she was actually helping with accessibility and stuff. So it's something she's dealing with all the time. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
and see, if you go through it, there's other game devs coming in. It's like, yep, that's in the Microsoft design docs and all that. So I've learned, you know, I've expanded my mind. Just like, oh, I didn't realise that.
That's a thing. And then move on. I mean, any other normal person would just look at it and go, oh, aye, that's a thing, and then just leave. But I mean, any discourse in quotation marks around, you know, anything to do like that. And I think the fact that it was brought up around Elden Ring and the From Software fandom, that anyone discusses anything negative around From Software games is doomed. You know, I mean, that's them. You're cancelled at that point. But it's fair enough. I mean, actually don't see the bad thing about it. It's cool.
I think I've seen some other like more well-known people in the games media space just kind of really just touching on that maybe the term should be changed. It's weird to include that language for that situation example. I mean, I looked at it. I mean, I wasn't offended at all. I mean, that's just my opinion. Personally, I think it was a bit of a total overreaction to what was just a little bit of, you know, oh, here's a little bit of pub quiz knowledge for you. If anything, it just felt like it was a, you know, very colloquial corporate term, simplified in that chart to paint the picture. But I did find it interesting just to learn that it's something that's considered from a game design point of view, and obviously very relevant to what we talk about every week, because I think many times, especially now that my son's a bit more interested, or even like we were sitting side by side playing. My daughter's not really interested in gaming, but she was literally just walking in front of the TV, and it's like, move at the road. And it was just kind of like, all right, that's cool. But I did say, like, I would, any rational thinking person wouldn't ever like liken that to what we would consider traditionally to be under the term disability. You know?
I think that's the gripe, you know, like the term disability. I was listening to a video on the way here, and it was somebody talking about it. It was like, I think one of the guys, I think it's like Asmongold or something like that. He's a big guy on Twitch, and he was talking about it. It was like, when you hear disability, you immediately go down that one route, you know. Whereas this just seems to be terminology. So it's not. I think it's just the wrong word, but it's someone. It's someone with an opinion and information on the internet. So, you know, Reddit and Twitter is going to explode. Like, you could literally put a tweet out saying the sky is blue. Oh yeah, and somebody would be like, it's brown.
Of course. And I think as well, like, you're going to get the proper goblins coming out whenever they see like a successful female content creator in the space come out.
That's a big one as well. I think there is a lot of sort of. I think it's because it's her, as you say. I think it's because it's exactly breeds, But you know. I don't see any. That doesn't hurt my feelings. Do you know what I mean? Like a 2-year-old cutting in front of the telly because I can't press pause. Like that's fine. Maybe people are like, oh, you just have to go into the menu and like press a button. It's like, cool. Like, but you can also just die or like
in the game.
Like you can always just like come back to it. It's not. I think as a parent, like, these are things that you know are going to happen.
Yes.
And I don't play games. I don't tend to play games in front of my wee one anyway. So it's like, it's not a big deal. It's never been a big deal for me, but it's obviously something that game developers have to take into consideration.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating, to be honest
It
with
is.
you, because I never actually thought that the thing would go that far.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
a
cool to
peek
see
behind the curtain, isn't it? It's like
how the sausage is made, as I say. But I will say, Alana did share a great blog on the whole situational disability term, so it does shed light on it, and it really just considers any and all user situations when you're interacting with the product. So apparently everybody we will experience them every day. So they put some examples in there, like if you're trying to use your phone in the sun and you can't see the screen, or things like if you can't hear your phone ring in a crowded space, that type of thing. These are all things which come under that category. Or if you had eye drops and your vision was blurred for momentarily. But the blog is on underway.org, how situational disabilities impacts us all. It's quite enlightening, actually. I'd recommend a read.
it's just the thing there now, innit? Like it's something to moan about for no reason.
Yeah,
and I do think that there's like a paper cut. Do you know what I mean? It's like a paper cut around Elden Ring. People are feeling quite defensive about it at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think people want to admit that there are like negatives in that game. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
God, are people going to come after us now?
Taylor Swift, something else. But no, it's. I mean, I love Elden Ring, and I'm one of the biggest From Software shills on the planet. But I can admit that DLC is flawed. It's not not the most perfect experience. There are negatives there, but it does feel like a lot of the internet and stuff. Even when people are talking about it online, it's just there's a lot of kind of defensive people on it. So
yeah.
Aye.
I have to admit, that is a negative in itself. Like I know that puts some people off of engaging with the games because the From Software guys, and it's like, I can't deny that they're there. But I'm glad to say I'm not one of them. Get good, son, as they would usually say. But I mean, that whole thing it reminded me of my old job, where there was a lot of focus put on like elderly people living in environments, just making it as accessible as possible for them. Now, I might have not been doing that. That wasn't actually like my job day to day, but marketing it sure as hell was. But it just reminded me of that, and I don't know. It's like everything else these days in Year of Our Lord 2024. It's just if you try to make something good for one group of people, another group of people think you're taking it away from them, which isn't the case at all. But that's a different thing for a different podcast on a different day.
Ultimately, if you want a pause button in Elden Ring, then you want a pause button in Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
That's fine, but like, don't pause it then.
No.
Like, see, if they put it in, just don't pause it. It's not going to change my experience. Like, I'm still going to get hit by Radahn. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll pause this now just so I don't get hit. And then I unpause it and I get scudded by him. Like, it's not going to change anything.
But even though with that cheese build, right, I was going there, I could take him in like 3 hits. He was still doing me in 1 hit.
Yeah. I still, when I actually killed him, I died. So he died,
that
and then
to me as
I
well.
died as well.
Yeah. The final hit, and I'm like, is that me again?
Aye,
and you're ready to go, and then it's just,
It's
the
open.
noises.
It's fine.
and
Aye.
It's like,
It's cool.
failed.
Yeah.
Thank
Lovely.
God for that. But I think it's time for us to move on to our main topic now, Scott. I think so. This week, we're going to be talking about our games of the year so far. So we're officially more than halfway through 2024. So I thought now would be a good time to just take a little pit stop and just talk about what do we think makes our personal top 10 lists, at least this year, on our game of the year. Considerations, what highlights have there been? Do we see it being the same at the end of the year? So what's mulling around your mind? What makes that list for you?
What makes
Scott?
a list? I mean, I think there's a solid 5.
Okay, that's good.
A solid 5 there. So the big cheese was obviously Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, that is, before I play anything else this year, that is my game of the year. Without even moving forward with it. Got to put Shadow of the Erdtree up there as well.
Yeah,
I think it has to be in there. Tekken 8.
Yeah,
big one. Good start to the year. Persona 3, the way I'm dealing with it at the moment, and likely to move on to the DLC as well when it comes out. And I've kind of been thinking about it, whether or not to put Rise of the Ronin on there, because it is good, and I think it would probably be middle, maybe lower end of the list, but
yeah,
I think I would probably put it on there.
I'll launch off from there because it would make my list just now.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It's not going to be, in the top 3, but it's definitely in that top 10.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I think it helped me get back into a gaming groove after the void that was left from my Final Fantasy adventures. But it's still a good game. Like, obviously open world mark here, but outside of that, the combat satisfying to master, and it was just good fun.
Yeah.
I really do recommend that game. It does kind of feel like, I know it's sold well enough, at least when they released the figures, but it felt like it came and went, and people almost sleeping on it. But I think that's largely because Dragon's Dogma 2 came out and ate its lunch.
Yes.
Which is a game I would have loved to have featured on it, but again, I've played it at the wrong time and I've not really given it a proper go to judge that one. So that might be something that comes back. I'm not sure. But given your verdict, I'm not sure.
Even just the thought of playing it again, I'm surprised that I finished it. As I say, I think Alex said it last week, and he says like stubborn, because if it was him, he would have turned it off. And it's true. I mean, I probably should have, but it doesn't make my list personally. Knowing what's coming up as well, it definitely doesn't make my list.
Yeah, shocking, because you'll probably find that might be game of the year.
I don't think it will be.
No,
I think if I have to put money on it, if there was a betting site that put game of the year choices on it, I'd put Rebirth on there.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rebirth is definitely. I've actually got that in my number 2 just now.
Boo!
I know.
It's obviously because you're waiting for Star Wars and Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed Shadows give it all the awards. No. Bias. No. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was just a tremendous experience, and flaws and all. I actually really enjoyed the pivot to the open world type setup. I enjoyed having more things to do and experience that world with those characters and just spend more time with them. Obviously, I'm coming at that from a perspective of someone that's a lot newer with the series. Famously didn't get on with the original back when I was a kid, but it was one of those games that I enjoyed just picking up and playing with those wee pockets of time.
Yeah, and
I enjoyed the story. And even as someone coming to it without that context, I'm like, yep, I felt satisfied by the ending. Did it kind of overstay its welcome a bit in Act 3, maybe a wee bit, but I think at that point, because I was like just wanting to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, it did get to that point. I think that if you had the experience of someone who had played the original, you'd feel differently about the later acts and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I get your point.
Although you seem to really enjoyed it as well, though. Which
I loved it. It was brilliant.
You kind of feel like the man standing out a little bit, because I know I've listened to other podcasts and stuff, and I've had different vibes from it. I've had people, like some that really didn't like it, but it was also individual I'm talking about here, which I won't name, doesn't tend to like things a lot anyway, so it wasn't surprising. But that gave me good confidence to keep going, because you were it so much like, keep going. I really enjoyed having our discussion. And you were here when we finished it, so it was like having a discussion when we finished. It was really good just to kind of bounce off some theories and get a better understanding of what's actually happening.
I think that's the reason why I enjoyed it so much, is that it's ambiguous. Do you know, like a lot of people would see an ending like that and be like, "What?" I was like, Krusty the Clown in that meme. What the hell was that? But it's like, I like the fact that it's left in that kind of stasis where we know what's coming, but also what is actually coming. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's cool. I like that. So yeah, that's kind of where my thought process is with it. And
yeah, well, to be honest with you, I could probably put a cigarette paper between that and my number 1, to be honest with you. But I think before I share my number 1, I think I'll need to speak about the other ones that's on this list, though. I mean, Tekken 8, you mentioned it as well. It must and will make my top 10 this year. I'm a lapsed fighting player, which is another term for saying I'm pish at fighting games. So, but I still find my own way to enjoy it. And that game did such a tremendous job at welcoming newcomers, lapsed players, and also having something for the hardcore out there. It is exceptional. Like, as a whole package, I don't think I've enjoyed getting a platinum more. Recently.
I also think you get commissioned for talking about Tekken 8 because you're like the biggest fanboy of it. It's hilarious. Like the way you talk about it, It's like you're selling it to everyone.
I'm sitting here in a king mask.
Aye.
You know, it was no, but it was just fantastic. I really thought that's what I like to see more of.
Yeah.
And then that tends to be the vibe. I've not played Street Fighter 6, but you tell me it does the same.
Yeah.
So I think I will check that out later. But in terms of a total package, man,
yeah, it's also telling that because they've released the data on like Evo submissions and how many people are going to play in the games, and number 2, Tekken 8.
Right. Okay.
So it's like there's like I think it's like tens of thousands of people that have signed up for actually doing it as well. So it's obviously hitting the right mark, and I think a lot of people sort of fell out of love with Tekken 7 towards the end.
Yeah.
And I think I was watching a Maximilian Dude video today. He was talking about like when Tekken 8 came out, people just wanted chaos from it because Tekken 7 was too perfect.
Yeah.
Like you knew what you were going to do. You were just waiting for someone else to mess up before you could do that. Whereas Tekken 8, there is moments where it's like you don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's it, and it's done a great job with that. I mean, on the flip side of it, Mortal Kombat 1, less than 500 people have signed up for it. I think it is.
Wow. Really?
So it's like that game is down there at the moment.
It's practically dead,
more or less. But it never really has a good showing at Evo. But it tends to be better than this, and it is concerning. But NetherRealm have a good track record of kind of bringing it back round towards the end. But aye, with Tekken 8, I totally agree with you. It's top 5, probably for me. Maybe even top 3, just with the experience that I had with it. And I am one character away from getting back on that train. It's like Bison with Street Fighter 6. It's like jumping back into that to play him, but I'm one character away. I don't know who it is yet. Dr. Boskonovich will put in there just for a laugh, but or gone. But yeah, no idea.
That was just, the total package.
Yeah,
it really was. Total package. And yeah, I really enjoyed like the little kind of cute chibi style arcade thing modes that they had in it as well, and even encouraging you. The way that they talked about Tekken in those modes, right, was it? And you're coming to this like anytime I pick up a fighting game over the years, and I've dabbled, pretty much like Mortal Kombat's and all that, but it is intimidating to get back into them.
Yeah,
it really is, and it's like, oh, fight sticks and you're not welcome type vibe, which is totally incorrect because the fighting game community is actually very welcoming. But it feels that way. It's like, I'm shite.
Yeah.
You're not going to help me out here. I'm just wasting your time.
Yeah.
But this one was like, Tekken's just about having fun. It's almost like a dance, almost. And I'm like, okay, right, I get you. So it immediately, like, subliminally instills this vibe of like, just go and have fun.
Yeah.
If you lose, it's cool. That was a good fight. And yeah, I just totally got on board with it. And Platinum, that I can't recommend it more enough because it just takes you through everything you need to try in the game.
Yeah.
And the game is probably one that I'd be recommending for years.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And if you are a person who's not a fighting game player, right, that's cool. But let's say you jump in and you play Jack, right? No idea who plays Jack, but you get beat. You can replay that loss and find out where you could have countered them.
That's right.
And got a different combo and stuff and maybe won the match. So it's teaching you as you go along what are the best options for you. And that's something that's been missing from fighting games for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's even with Street Fighter 6, is it Street Fighter 6 does a great job in terms of the tools that it gives you. But Tekken 8, I've never seen something where you could literally jump into that replay and at the moment in time where you could have maybe blocked or stepped back and hit like a heavy kick or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's fantastic. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
If I'm going to recommend a fighting game, it's Tekken 8.
Especially if you're someone, again, limited in time with gaming, gamer parent or not, this game, it does everything that you loved about gaming when you had more time. So it's like, if you see this in a deal, pick it up on a Friday, spend the weekend playing it, you'll have an absolute blast.
Yeah.
An absolute blast. And it just gave me that same feeling I had when you were playing fighting games as a kid. I mean, my heyday was Tekken 2, maybe 3. But it had such a good experience with it. And yeah, it's definitely on there. I think Shadow the Erdtree will be on there, of course. Another one that I think might drop off, but it's on there just now, the controversial one, Hellblade 2, because I did vibe with the game. I thought it was just a fantastic experience that I'm glad that I had. And it just looked absolutely sensational. It really did. Like, and I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah,
Sucker
no,
for
I know.
But
I stand by my point last week. When it was, you know, it's
coming for
as you've played one, you've played two. But I get the point. It's an experience, and sometimes that's all a game needs to be.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about if you're short on time, you know, and if you've got Game Pass, it's well worth playing, I think.
Mhm.
But me, right now, my number one, right, it's one you forgot about. Right now, the one that's sitting top of the pile just now, it could change because it says cigarette paper between that and Final Fantasy.
And what is it on?
It's on PlayStation 5, but it's on everything. It's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Oh, right, okay.
Mate, this game, honest to God, like if you told me that at the end of last year, or whenever it was revealed,
Mhm.
that I was going to enjoy this game so much because I was excited, obviously, big Prince of Persia fan, and I was like, that's a pretty cool new direction, but we'll see. And then the preview started coming out, played it. My God, what a fantastic game this is! And again, one doesn't demand too much of your time, but you can put it in there if you want. They've now added like challenge modes and extra stuff as well that's coming to the game over the summer. But what a surprise just to kick the year off. It came out in January, and just a return to form for the series, which it badly needed.
Oh,
'cause-
it needed. I think it's a shot in the arm that's kind of made people interested in the remake that's
Yeah.
eternally being remade.
I
Like the
know.
remake is being remade, so it's like
Makes me so sad because I mean,
Aye.
the Sands of Time remake is going to be fantastic, but I'm glad they're taking the time rather than just fart something that's
I know.
not living up to its reputation. But does make me think, as a side note, the approach that they're going to take with these Assassin's Creed remakes that's coming
Mhm.
out. But I'm not going to talk about Assassin's Creed, I promise. But I think the easy way to sum it up, like, if you like Metroidvania style games, right, you're going to love Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, right? I know there's a few actuallys out there that's like, I predated Metroid. I know that, but I know that this game is for you. Like, the boss fights in it,
Mhm.
absolutely anime as all hell. Like, it has no right for the type of game it is. You're playing it and it's exhilarating, it's challenging. It can be made easy as well
Yeah.
if you don't want to make it challenging, which is good, so it's accessible. But it's so hype. That's the only word to describe it when you're playing it.
Mhm.
And of course, the exploration within it, the new abilities as you unlock them, they're all just so perfectly seamed into one another.
Mhm.
And it's a rare thing. I compare this to when I played Tales of Kinzera
Mhm.
recently,
Yeah.
which a game I really wanted to like because I think I was high of The Lost Crown, and it just didn't have that same slickness to the
Mhm.
gameplay
Yeah.
that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Whereas this is so responsive, it's an absolute joy to play. Within the first 10 minutes you playing that game, you're in.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely fantastic, and also one that's fantastic on the portal. So it gets bonus points for that as well. So if you're on the throne or anywhere else, it's fantastic for that. But man, that is top of the tree for me just now. I beg you to play it. If you
Beg
get a
me to
chance.
play it.
Beg you. Once PlayStation Stars is back up,
Aye.
use your
once
vouchers
it's
on it.
finally here again.
You know,
Is that 30 odd days or something like that now that it's
man,
it's down?
the star has fallen.
It has
you know.
fallen. Jim Ryan knew.
That's why he left. Play some fire.
Aye. He took that with him.
Exactly. No, but I mean, in terms of me, it's sitting there. I'm looking at the rest of the year now. And I do think I would recommend every single game we've talked about on there,
Yeah.
on our list. You know, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Prince of Persia, Tekken 8, Rise of the Ronin as well, Persona 3.
Mhm.
All these games you should be checking out if you're just wanting to pick any of them. Pick one, you're going to have a good time. You know,
play them all.
Play them all if
Play
you
them
want.
all chronologically when they came out.
Go crazy. You know, why not? It's your time. You do what you want with it. But I think I'm looking forward to. It's just a follow-on from last week.
Yeah.
Talked about everything that's coming ahead. I mean, the fact that we've got a Zelda game coming out as well.
I know.
And I love the Link's Awakening remake, so it's there.
I didn't vibe too much with that, but I probably will pick this up.
Yeah.
And I'll maybe play it with the wee one because it's a princess and she'll be like, ooh.
Exactly.
Aye, so that'll be nice.
Cutesy.
That'll be nice for her. And it's doing what Princess Peach Showtime thing couldn't do.
Yes.
So it's
Why
running.
Why didn't they call it The Legend of Link? The opportunity was there.
It's too on the nose.
I know, but it was there.
But maybe this is the Legend of Zelda.
Perhaps.
This is where the Legend of Zelda was formed.
No, if it's successful, you could see it's like an offshoot now.
That's it, and it could be different styles of games every time. It'd be class.
Yeah.
We want Zelda in more games.
100%.
I'd have liked. I'm actually taking over this podcast now, right? Because Tears of the Kingdom, masterpiece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great game. Give me more Zelda. I want to play Zelda.
Yeah.
Her navigating through.
Do you remember when it was first announced though, and it was kind of
there was thoughts, it was just they changed the character and then she became a big dragon. It's like
I do wonder if maybe early in development that's what they wanted and maybe just got cold feet,
and then they made Link's Awakening,
yeah,
with Zelda in it. But I totally agree with you. It's there's a lot to think about because I was even just going through lists of games that are due. And obviously we have your big hitters with, Star Wars and Assassin's Creed, the two ones that I put on there. But I'll maybe pick up one of them and not the other one, or I might not pick up any of them.
Or just wait until I tell you.
Aye, and then we'll see. But I think the first one, because I never got on with, I never played Astrobot properly, so I think that the new one, when it hits, is just going to be like crack. It's just
magic.
Aye,
absolutely magical.
And that's probably going to be the next game that I properly go out and purchase. And then I put down Wukong. I want to play it.
Again, we touched on that last week. I mean, it looks good. It looks really good, but there's just something about it. I think that's one where I'll wait to hear your verdict. Yeah,
that's we'll do that then, and then that's my job.
Trade you.
But the only other one I mentioned it last week was Metaphor. Refantasio.
Yes.
Buzzing for that. And that's all because I'm now playing Persona again. I'm like, oh, give me it, man, give me it. But I'm buzzing for that. And they've showed quite a lot of stuff today on the day of recording where they've shown a bit more about the story and stuff like that as well, which was missing. So
yeah. And I'm also looking forward to those little out of nowhere indie hits.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to just the next one coming along. I was thinking the other day about Death's Door, and I loved that game, and it came out of absolutely nowhere for me, at least anyway. And I'm looking for just something that's not too long, pretty good wee game.
I agree with you. They're always there, like Crow Country and stuff like that, and Animal Well, like these kind of wee games that I thought they could be on my list.
That's true.
Crow Country would probably be high up there, and Animal Well would be up there as well. But it's just finding them sometimes. Like the kind of the match needs to strike. It's like there has to be something there, and sometimes that could be Twitter goes mad for it, or somebody finds something funny on TikTok or something like that. Like it's just at the right moment at the right time. But
that's why we're here, Scott.
That's why we're here. Finger on the pulse.
The tastemaker.
Play Final Fantasy VII Reaver.
That's it. Live up to your name.
Aye. Or Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 DLC. Probably not top 10, but it's good.
I like this new era we're in where DLCs are making the top games. But I do wonder. I mean, we don't know because we're not there yet. What is Jeff Keighley going to be given that award to this year?
Final Fantasy VII Reaver.
Potentially.
I honestly can't see it going anywhere else. And if it does, I'll congratulate everyone else on other games.
Wave from afar.
I don't honestly. I just don't see it. I can't see it. But
I think critically, I think Shadow of the Erdtree and Dragon's Dogma 2 will definitely be in there. Because honestly, I
can't live in a world where Dragon's Dogma 2 gets Game of the Year. I can't do it. I really can't do it. It's so slow and turgid and PlayStation 3 game.
Well, listeners, if you want to see if he is living in a world where Dragon's Dogma 2 is Game of the Year, be sure to tune in on our Game Awards special in December.
Oh, man.
That's going to be a fun one.
I'm going to break down if it does. I'm going to actually drink the whole podcast if it is.
Oh, man. Well, that was... God, I'm just thinking about it. God. We'll be sitting here like 4 in the morning after Kaylee's made us stay up.
I can't believe you've done this to us, Jeff.
Every year we fall for it. But at least, we can bring you what happens right as it happens this time. But anyway, it's time to move on. So... it's, of course, time for the Pixel Picks Showdown, where each week we each pick a game from our chosen theme, and we decide which one deserves to live on in the hallowed Pixel Picks list, which is our definitive list of the best games we recommend to pass on to the next generation of gamers. of all ages.
Make an amendment to that. The best games that Scott recommends.
Oh, I've got you this
to
week.
be passed down.
I've got you this week. Believe you me. But of course, last week's team was cinematic, and it was the first time we actually had 3 people doing it. So thanks to Alex for joining us for that one. It was good fun.
It was tough.
It was a lot harder with 3
people. And also saying no to someone that you've invited onto the podcast is really awkward as well. It's like, no.
Well, Alex, like me, is a gentleman, so you wouldn't know anything about that, Scott. But the theme, of course, was cinematic, with The Last of Us becoming the latest addition to the list. Very deserving addition as well, might add. Please play that game. And this week's showdown, we're going to be debating what the best immersive sim game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. Now, as always, last week's winner goes last. So again, I will kick things off, Scott. So I'm going to kick things off. What I think you've picked was my honourable mention.
What you think I've picked?
Yeah. So, but that's not the reason why. It's because I do love this game, but it's really hard for me to pick one or the other. Flip of a coin. But I've got a reason why.
Okay.
So this is my honourable mention, which is BioShock.
Okay.
2007. Absolutely tremendous game. Love it to bits. One of my all-time favourites, I'd have to say. From the first time you see Rapture, eerie vibes, experimenting with plasmids, and of course the narrative and that ending, which I won't. Are we outside the realm of spoilers?
Oh no, but BioShock's been out for 400 years.
Okay, so would you kindly play it?
No.
Okay, so well, that twist ending, fantastic. It's definitely worth checking out. You won't see it coming, and I was quite proud of myself for playing it at the time because I am a coward.
Yeah.
So anything with horror vibes, I'm not there. Pat my chance as soon as I get in the Rapture. But it's one of those ones that I love the immersive sim elements that was in there. Of course, like just to give you the tools to navigate the world and succeed in ways, of course, that appeals to you. However, the reason why I didn't pick it is that I just wish it had a little bit more traversal options.
Yeah.
Which is what you are looking for in an immersive sim. Or can you stack the boxes? Is it Deus Ex? That type of stuff. For that reason, I've not made it my pick this week, even though it is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece of a game, as hard as it was to choose. But ultimately, I've went for an option that does have it all, I think, and it's not Deus Ex when considering an immersive sim. For me, it is Dishonored 2. Okay,
he's going for it again.
But it's making it this time, right? Because this game is masterful, right? When you're talking about within this category, right, it's an absolute diamond. Sorry, but so many people missed out in this game, and you slept on it.
I didn't.
But we fans will forever champion its name. But Arcane Studios, they brought the heat.
They did.
This was like Michael Jordan on his A game. He brought it. They brought it, and they brought their A game to this, and they've crafted really one of the best games to really lose yourself in, and improved on what made the first game so special.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in this one, you could play as either Corvo or Emily, of course. Each of them have got their own fun and unique abilities that you can choose to wield however you want to approach the situation that's put in front of you. You're effectively given an objective, get to here, and you're given this big sandbox of options that you can do whatever you want within it effectively to reach that. So you can, of course, just go down, straight and narrow, get to your objectives.
Yeah.
But you can literally just pick your own path to achieve your goal. It has verticality, it has those traversal options. You can go, they added in non-lethal takedowns to this one as well. You can be stealthy assassin. You could just go full pelt and go on a killing spree. Don't recommend that because it's murder. But of course, the game doesn't punish you, of course, for picking a certain path. It reacts to you.
Yeah.
Which is what you're looking for in the immersive sim.
Yeah.
So whatever your choices are, you're going to experience that thrilling emergent gameplay, which is the name of the game here, isn't it? So the environment is open to your decision making. You want to take the high road, you want to go across the pylons, you want to maybe go through that window, but you need a key. So you need to then go to the guard tower to get the key, and then, so on and so forth. So you're creating these kind of little mini moments as you're going along. And the game, I felt, didn't push you down a certain direction the same way the first one did, where it kind of felt like it punished you almost for taking a non-stealthy approach. So it was just like totally open to you. Much preferred it. and no two playthroughs will be the same. It was one of those few games where I'll just go through it again. My first playthrough I did it as Emily, then I did it as Corvo. It's like, what's going to be different
I
here?
will experience it differently.
Definitely preferred playing as Emily. I thought she just had better abilities, to be honest with you. And of course, the game featured a lovely Mediterranean-inspired take on whale punk. So things just weren't as dreary as the first. It's exceptional. Has to feature on the list.
Plus, as I said before, all characters look like Hugo Weaving, so
They do.
that's
They really
the
do.
positive.
It's definitely a vibe.
It's a fantastic attempt, and as I said before when you brought it up previously, I can't say anything against it because I've never played it, and maybe that's the game that I play next. Maybe this
is your new Life is Strange.
Maybe this is the new Life is Strange.
You'll love it.
But you were wrong.
Okay.
The game that I picked wasn't BioShock.
Right. Okay.
I actually went down a similar route to you, down the arcane well.
Oh, I know what he's picked.
And picked Prey 2017, which is the only game that I could have picked for this. Every single time we create one of these topics, I text you and tell me games that I can pick for this, because types of games are not my forte. I Google it and then I don't believe what I've said.
Pick Tetris, man.
It's like
gaming it.
Super Mario Brothers. But Prey 2017 is the only first-person game that I can play and enjoy. It is phenomenal.
Fantastic
When you get dropped into that world and you look in the mirror and you see the whole world sort of moving around you, and then it happens. Oh, just the way you see everything evolve around you.
That opening is so clever. So clever.
And you're talking about, emergent gameplay and immersive. You can immerse yourself in that world to your heart's content. You can go and read through every single document on a computer and you learn more about the world. Every single person that you find in that game has purpose. Like someone has died, they were the head of a certain department and stuff like that. They have a tape recorder that tells you what's happening in that world. You become invested and immersed in that world,
Okay.
It is, we're talking about, obviously, with Elden Ring and it constantly having your focus. It feels like you're constantly having to be laser focused on everything you're doing in Prey because of the mimics and stuff like that, as well. Anything, it's the best. Nothing else could do it better. It's one of the best parts of that game, because it creates tension in places where there shouldn't be tension. You're talking about traversal and Dishonored. Tell me the glue gun isn't the greatest thing that's ever come to traversal.
The glue gun was fun. It's the
best thing. You can literally bypass one of the first areas in that game by, you don't realise it at first. You play that game for the very first time and you think that you just glue the enemies and that's it. And then you shoot the wall and sometimes you hit it and you can jump on top of it and then you climb up. It's like, that's incredible. It's innovation and it's just fantastic. But as I say, it's, if you're looking for immersion and being immersed into a world, it drops you into something that, it's completely outlandish and ridiculous, but you become really invested in that world, and the morality, the decisions that you make all have purpose at a point. So I can't praise Prey more, because it is, as I say, it's genuinely one of the best games that I've ever played in my life, and it is must play. It is. It is. I'd put it on there for anyone.
Did you have an honourable mention as well?
No, because I can't think of anything else. But I'd love to be able to kind of give more feedback on Dishonored, because it is a game that I enjoyed Dishonored 1, but it always annoyed me when I played it. And obviously Dishonored 2 improved on elements of that
exponentially.
But the minute I asked you about immersive sim and I googled the term immersive sim games and I saw the game Prey, I was like, it can't be anything else. There's a point in my life before and after I played Prey. Do you know what I mean? I
remember telling you to play it back
and
in the day.
It's not a game that I should enjoy. I hate everything about these kind of games. I hate them. But this one just had enough innovation, and as I say, it created this world where I constantly want to go back to that. all the time. I don't have the time to do it and the energy to do it. But if you plonked me in a room and just said, here is an Xbox and the only game you could play on it is Prey, I would be happy to play that for the rest of all time. And I would be immersed.
I think I'd feel the same way about Dishonored 2 myself. I think I'm going to steal your honourable mention because there's one naturally that we have to reference now, because we both picked arcade games, which of course is Deathloop.
Deathloop, yeah. It was up there. It just didn't feel as, immersive. I mean, try and use immersive more times in a sentence as you can, but it didn't feel like, I was part of that world. It kind of felt like I was living out with it. And I think that the hook on that game is the loop of it, is
the loop and like the multiplayer kind of element of it, which felt more annoying. It took you out of it, which is probably why we've not picked it. It of course has elements of all these games within it, of course, and there's other ones. I didn't want to pick Deus Ex because the gameplay is good, but it's just boring.
Never played it.
In that world,
Never played it. It's a game
boring.
series that I just don't think I would ever enjoy.
It's too it takes itself too seriously. And some people are into that. Fair play, of course. Like they are very, very, very good gameplay. Choices to make, but I actually nearly pivoted towards Cyberpunk for this one.
I literally just googled it there to see what kind of games you could have said, and Cyberpunk is on there. But
the reason I didn't would be the same reason why I didn't pick Prey, which is that it has immersive some elements in it, but it's definitely more within the first person shooter action category for me than immersive.
I think you're right with Cyberpunk. It probably is.
Cyberpunk
speaking as someone who's never played it, but
Cyberpunk does a better job of the immersive sim stuff than Prey does. Like, easy.
I can't comment on that because I've never played it.
Honestly, if now's the time, it will blow you away.
It probably would. It probably would.
And you can tweak the settings, motion blur off, all that stuff. Anyhow, I digress because we're getting off topic here. But I do think that both two tremendous games.
But
I have to insist, and purely from the point of view, I'm going to take the informed view here, Scott.
Okay.
Of playing them both, and it's Dishonored 2 definitely just tips it because it's just a lot more of that sandbox that you're looking for within this immersive sim category, and it has so many options available to you. Whereas Prey, it does still veer into the shooter side of it with some elements peppered in. I'm not really making that point very well, but that's what it's coming down for me, because they're both fantastic games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's
I would
the debate.
actually probably put Prey up there as one of the best survival games of all time as well. Future spoilers. It's I think Dishonored 2 has a lot more options and it caters to a lot more players for the immersive sim experience, which is why I would push that forward. Be damned with the gentleman.
I'll just have to take your word for it then. What I'll do is I'll play it and I'll come back to you on it. I'm putting an asterisk on this one.
Please do. Like, if you like Prey, you will really enjoy Dishonored 2. And I think because it isn't as dreary as the first one, the story's a lot better. But the action, they literally just let you off the leash from the get-go. It's just go do it.
Is there need to play Dishonored 1 for me to play Dishonored 2?
You could play it and just get a bit more backstory on Corvo.
I know what happened with Corvo, so it's not...
They do a great job of just basically, it's telling its own story, it's its own thing.
Well, maybe it's the game I play after Persona then. Maybe that'll...
If you're going to do it, start with Emily, not with Corvo, because I think she's got better abilities.
Okay.
But they do, I think it's just a much better thing, and because Dishonored's really all about just giving you the tools, and it's like, go forth, that's it, and there's decisions to make along the way, of course. Prey, of course, takes a similar approach, but it felt tighter in that sense, which is the only thing against an immersive sim, which is you've got so many options available to you, like, where the fuck do I go now?
Yeah.
But Dishonored 2, I must insist, is on the list.
I mean, you're going to bring it up every other week. The next sports game number 2. There's a football in Dishonored 2.
That's it. Liam Dishonored Assassin's Creed Kit Kelvin. But yeah, that's it. It's back to winning ways. I'm declaring it. That's on the list.
Thank God for that.
It's on the list. That's it.
Seeing how he's picking topics for himself here.
I know. So next week is best Assassin's Creed game. No, but
one.
Don't get me started.
I'll make the argument for it.
Do not get me started. But next week will actually, I'm looking forward to it. Because actually this is definitely, you've got home advantage next week.
Oh, okay.
Big time. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
It's going to be really hard for you, but you're going to pick a belter.
Right, I see.
So tune in next week for that one, folks. But congratulations to Arcane for making two fantastic games.
Making more than two.
And of course to Dishonored 2 for finally making your way onto the Pixel Picks
Finally.
list. Thank God.
What was it that beat it before?
It was Metal Gear Solid.
Good.
Let me just see.
As it deserves.
No, actually.
Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell.
Fantastic.
It was Splinter Cell.
Had to get Big Sam up there.
That's it. He's on there. Well, of course, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. So thank you once again for joining us. And if you like what you hear and enjoy the podcast, leave us a wee 5-star review. And of course, share, tell your friends, tell other gamer people out there that have limited time or parents or whatnot, or are just curious about what to play. We're here for you, and it'd be great to kind of get to more listeners out there as well. Of course, Scott, where can people go find you online each and every week?
Llamaman_91 on Twitter.
We nearly got it, folks. It
Is
was
it wrong?
Llamaman91.
That's horrific, man. Llamaman91 on the old Twitter.
That's it.
Come at me.
With all Taylor Swift fans can be directed there. And yes, of course, you can find myself at Carmelite on Twitter as well. And a massive thank you to our producer and music man, the talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray, who has been just putting in the overtime.
He's on that grind set.
He really is. He really is. He makes this happen. He makes this a reality. So you get this podcast each and every week. So thank you to Sean. And of course, you can listen to the next episode on all your major podcast platforms. Follow us on Twitter at Pixel_Parents. And of course, write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com with your questions and anything else that you just want to ask us. That'd be fantastic. So, of course, until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.
Come at me, from soft fans.